Do you think a lot has been written about the fact that one of the great things about the Rat Pack was that you had Italians, you had Jews, you had Sammy, a American black man, that they did an awful lot as a group to put aside prejudice in this country. But when you read the accounts, you read that Sammy really suffered terribly during those times from hecklers. I mean, there are tons of stories that Sammy told about.
Oh well, I remember going to the Copa when Sammy had just married Mai, and whatever that group is that is against black and whites, they were picketing in front of the Copa because Sammy had married Mai.
Do you think that the guys, like the Rat Pack, do you think they did a lot to change things?
I don't know about them, but I know that my son has done a lot to change, because when Sammy kissed Nixon, that was the worst thing that the blacks thought that he did. But you see, they didn't know that with Sammy kissing Nixon, Sammy had just got through being in Vegas doing something for the United College Fund, which, if they could count the money that Sammy has put into the Negro College Fund, it could be over $1 million, because he has did many things for them. And not only for them, but for other groups, like the ones in Harlem. They don't ever talk about Sammy doing anything. Like one time in Atlantic City, they wanted to name a street after Sammy. But the new people, the Johnny-come-lately, don't know anything about Sam. And they made a remark about why put him on the north side. Put him on the south side where he would love to be, talking about being with white people. That is not true.
Right. Sammy also campaigned for Kennedy, didn't he?
In the beginning, until Kennedy said that he didn't want, he told Frank he didn't think that, I don't know how true this is, don't quote me. But, I mean, there was something said that Kennedy did not want Sammy at the wedding.
At the inauguration.
Oh, whatever.
Right.
And that's when Frank didn't like, you know. He said, I imagine he felt that if my friend can't come, I ain't coming either.
Right. Frank, well, that was the big thing, you know, that Kennedy was perfectly happy to have Sammy and Frank getting him elected.
Oh,
but once he was elected, he started to draw the lines again.
Well, that's over. And then not only that, you don't know who Kennedy had to talk to. See, Kennedy wasn't by himself doing this, you know. He had somebody over him saying, well, I don't want him. You understand?
Exactly. I do.
Southern Democrats. Yeah.
I do understand that. But, so, let me get this straight. So, your impression is that when Kennedy, and that's been written, Janet Leigh told me that, so that's
well, she would know more about this
right,
than I do.
That when Kennedy said that he didn't want, he told Peter Lawford to tell Sammy that he didn't want him and Mai to come to the inauguration. Your impression is that Frank said, well, if you don't want my friend, you don't want me.
I imagine.
Can you say that? Can you just recount that?
Well,
because that's exactly what I got. See, people have said that Frank was angry at Kennedy for something else, but that's not what I was told.
You cannot believe everything you hear and very little that you see.
But based on their relationship, it would make sense to you, wouldn't it? That Frank
the one
with
the one that would make sense to me would be the one that if Kennedy told Frank or told Peter that they didn't want Sam, that would be the one that made Frank turn around.
Exactly. I would think so.
And then when he turned around, Sammy turned around.
And they both became Republicans. Eventually.
Huh?
And eventually they both became Republicans.
That's what I'm saying. When Frank turned around and became a Republican, so did Sammy. And that got him into a whole lot of trouble. With his own kind, you know.
Well, Sammy did come out, though, whenever he married Altovise, and he was becoming much more into the whole...
That's what somebody told you.
But I get that impression from the
But you
publicity.
see, you know, I mean, like, I get the impression, like if there's a thing happening in here, Sammy has got more blacks that he has invited than Altovise. Most of her people would be white. So I don't know where this thing came about that Altovise was the cause of Sammy getting into the blacks. Sammy had always been with the blacks.
Well, I think it might have also been the fact that he started his own, remember he started the ecology label and he got involved with Motown, and it seemed
I didn't know he was ever involved with Motown.
Oh yeah, there are pictures of him with Berry Gordy when he signed with them.
But baby, friendship and pictures don't mean that he was involved.
But the label was.
Well, I never heard him being involved with the label.
Uh-huh.
I know he was with Capitol. I know he was with whatever label Frank was with, or whatever the other labels, but I ain't never heard him being on a Motown label. But what I don't know will make a book.
Okay, so now tell me again about, right. You said to me when we were talking the other day that if you look at the whole issue with civil rights, it's like nothing's changed.
It hasn't.
Tell me your feelings about
Because New York is as bad as Georgia. And this is supposed to be the place where you leave Georgia to come here to be free. But New York is as bad. And I never knew that Jersey was prejudiced until after I left it.
Right. But you know, Sammy always said, he always had an answer for that. He always said, if you think things haven't changed, just like look at my life. He felt things had really changed.
Well, my son wasn't stupid, honey. Shit, he could read more books and never went to school and tell you what those books meant. Never went to school a day in his life.
But he went to the White House.
Hmm?
But he went to the White House.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's all right.
But the thing is that do you
And not only the White House, he went to Europe and the Queen got to him, you know. So that's what talent did for him.
Do you think though that Sammy really did believe that he got everything, that he, you know, that he overcame all of the things that he had
No,
to,
I don't think that. I really don't.
you know.
I think there was a whole lot of things that Sammy wished could have happened that didn't.
Like what?
I don't know.
For him
I just
personally
believe.
or on a world?
On a whole, or, you know. He even got, how many doctors' things he got and never went to school? And why do you think they gave it to him? Because he was Sammy Davis Jr.? But my son had it up here.
Right. Was it true that he suffered a lot because all of his friends were white? I mean,
No,
the
I
rest
don't
of the
think
Rat Pack was white.
No.
You don't think so?
I don't think so.
You think that was his choice? He just happened to like them.
Well, I mean, those are the people he knew. That's like I told his father. When she said, your son's going to marry a white woman, I said, so? That's all he knows. Because those little dark girls up in Canada, I mean, I wouldn't want that for a son-in-law, daughter-in-law. I'm only kidding. I'd have anybody for a daughter-in-law.
Well, but the thing is, too, that what joined them all was that they all were talented. It had nothing to do with race.
Well, my dear, can you compare anybody with the Rat Pack? with my son, they were not that much talent in them, and my son had this much talent. And my son was the how would I put it, was a stronghold of all of them. Because Sammy started singing better than Frank ever sang in his life before he died. And if anybody wants to tell the truth, that's the way it was.
Do you remember the last time you spoke to Sammy?
Yes, about a day before he died.
And was there anything that...
No, I mean, during that time, I don't think Sammy knew I was there. Because he had the tubes, he had the morphine or whatever. I was up in it.
So before that?
Well, I mean,
what was the last good
I don't know,
conversation?
darling.
You don't know.
I couldn't tell you the last words he said. The only thing I know, he gave me a necklace and a bracelet. He gave it to Shirley and told Shirley to give this to my mother, because this is before he got incoherent, I guess.
Right, okay. And, okay, let's talk just a little bit about when, what you were telling me about the copa. Remember yesterday or the day before, you were telling me about what it was like when Sammy played the copa.
Well, I was telling you, we were asking about Al Green. And I said that Al Green made Perdell very unhappy.
No. You were telling me the other day when I was here that what it was like to play the copa when Sammy played the copa, and you went there and like the way the audiences were and how great it was at the copa.
Well, I mean, it was great. That was when Perdell had it. And I was there when Elizabeth and Richard came down to see Sammy at the copa. I was sitting right next to them. And somebody said something concerning Sammy and Richard and what's the name that was married to Richard?
Elizabeth.
You know who I'm talking about, Elizabeth. She would not get up and stand up. And he told her, stand up. And she got up. But you see, they were all friends together.
Yeah, exactly. Now, just because we had bad sound on it, tell me about when Sammy had his eye surgery. I know we did this story before, but tell me about when he was in the accident.
Well, you see, I didn't find out I was here. And it came over, I don't even know whether it came, I think it came over radio or was in the paper. So as soon as I found out, I called California, and I tried to get to Will Maston, and I asked them, I said, I want to come, send for me. So Will said to me, no, you don't need to come. He's all right, he'll be all right. So I called Atlantic City and got my the lady that I work for down there, Miss Grace, to give me the money to go to California. And she did. Now when I got there, I went to a place where my husband was playing cards, and it was a terrible place, to me, you know. But Sammy found out where I was, and he sent a call for me to come out to us on the Strip, Sunset Strip. And that's where I stayed the whole time that I was in California. Now, you know where I'm talking about?
I sure do. What hospital was he in?
What hospital what?
Was Sammy in?
He was in San Bernardino. And that's when I came in town. I had to get a train the next day. I got there the day before Thanksgiving. And I got a train to go from California to San Bernardino to see Sammy in the hospital, and he was getting ready to leave.
And who was there at that time?
Oh, I don't know. It's I don't know the people. I know Pee Wee was there, and I don't think his father was there, but
But
when
Frank was there, right? Because remember
no, not when I was there.
Oh, but you remember you told me that Frank had arranged for Sammy to have a house to recuperate.
But that was before, that was after I left St. Bernardino to see Sammy.
Okay. So
But,
can you say that
I
about
don't-
Frank arranging for
Somebody did it. I think it was Frank. I don't know. Well, yes, I said that in the beginning. I don't know where. I had to say something. Frank did it because Frank had a whole lot of say. And he could do more than Sammy could do, you know. Because I don't even know where... Because Sammy was working in Vegas when he had the accident. So I don't know where he was living before. But I know that they got this house. And that's when they gave a party because it was almost Sammy's birthday. Because his birthday is on the 8th.
And who was there at that party?
Well, I don't know who. I know Marilyn Monroe was there. Bless her heart. She looked so pitiful. She was an introvert to me, you know.
And Frank was there?
No, Frank wasn't there.
Right. So
He might have come later.
So how would Marilyn Monroe be there? Who did she know?
Well, she knows. Who did she know? She knew them all.
Uh-huh. So she knew Sammy way
Of
back
course.
then?
I don't know. She knew Sammy since the rest of them knew Sammy. You know.
So they went
See, after
further
Sammy
back.
lost his eye, he got to be real big, you know. Real big.
Right. Well, it was
And
Caroline.
everybody didn't know him knew him then. Because when he went to Ciro's, that's when the fellas would come in with the patches on their eyes, and this is the thing that happened, you know.
So that was almost the beginning of the Rat Pack way back in '54.
That's right.
Can you tell me what you had said before about that? Remember you said, to my mind, the Rat Pack started
At the Sands.
back then because they used to always come when...
And whoever show was on, if Sammy was on, they'd all come up and do something.
So can you say, in my mind, the Rat Pack started way back?
I would say that the Rat Pack, I don't know for sure, but I think it started from the Sands in Vegas.
Right, okay. Or from Ciro's, because you said in Ciro's.
No, not from where here.
Didn't you say that they all came on the stage with patches?
Yeah, well, that was in Vegas or L.A.
I thought it was Ciro's, because the picture says Ciro's. The picture in his book
Says what?
says Ciro's in L.A.
Well, that's where the patches were.
Right,
Well, they also did it at the Sands in Vegas.
right, okay. I didn't know that. I just have a picture of it at Ciro's. So they did that became like a thing, like they even started joking
Yeah,
about
that's
the
right.
patches.
Well, not only, the patch was because it was new, but they didn't always come with the patch because Sammy didn't wear the patch that long.
Right. Now so everything was fair game to joke about, right? I mean, they would joke about, they would
of
kid
course.
each other about anything,
Anything.
Right? Can you remember something that you remember that they used to joke with each other about?
Well, you
Or
see,
tease Sammy about?
I am a New York person. I don't know what was happening on the West Coast
Right.
because all of their get-togethers or whatever would be out there.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. Exactly. All right.
Just so you know, Carol, it's like nighttime outside.
Okay. Let's stop.
Okay, so it's...
This is a sharp bag too.
It sure is sharp.
I know.
You
I
are
don't-
sharp.
I know. I used to be.
Here, I'll hold the other parts. I'll hold the bags and the blue bag. Yeah. Okay. So we're rolling. So now
Now, how should we go about this?
tell us the story of it.
Of
The
what?
story of that.
There ain't no star.
Like where they came from, you have to, like, the audience wouldn't know what it is.
Well, the way, we're not on nothing now, are we? The way we could do this, I could say, do you remember when Sammy worked with an open shirt and you would see a necklace around his neck? I said, well, I got that just before he died. Now, where would I would just have it here or what?
Well, Luke, should she hold it up?
Yeah, I would say that you could just hold it up kind of something like this, as though you were showing it to somebody, but not, you don't have to be.
Well,
like
this
it's on
this
Price
will
is
be
Right.
connected with something else, right?
Yes, sure.
Okay,
of
so
course.
then we can go into this.
Yes,
We
exactly.
can
I
go
can
in.
always cut in and out of it.
Okay.
So if you could turn it towards us, then we can see, yeah, right. How is that?
Because I can say to whoever I'm talking to.
Yes.
Do you remember when Sammy used to come on the stage and had an open shirt? And you remember that diamond thing that nut thing? Excuse me.
We'll start again.
Start again.
Can't get, honey, you just can't get her, she can't get rid of it. She's just down to earth and she's terrible. Well, anyway, I'm going to do it one more time.
Okay.
Do you remember when Sammy was on the stage and before he went over to get a cigarette, he would open up his shirt and you would see this diamond necklace on him? Well, just before he died, I was out in California and he gave it to me. Would you like to see it? Then I'd show it, right? How does that sound, baby?
How is that? Is that good for you?
That's great. Tell us about what's in the bracelet and the necklace.
He said what?
Tell us about the diamonds in the necklace and how it's made and everything. Is it?
I don't know. Oh, I know it's from Gucci. I don't know how. He bought it here in New York and he gave it to me with a bracelet. And I'm afraid to wear it, really, because I don't want nobody to take it. But I do have it insured. So it is gorgeous. Can you see it?
Sure can. That's great.
Does it look good?
That was just terrific.
Okay, now let's try it one more time. And don't, the only thing that was wrong about the time that you did it is
You weren't looking at
Was-
Carol.
you weren't looking at me and you were saying, and so now if I show it to you this way, so you don't have to do that. We'll just, don't add, and now I'll say this, do you know?
Do what, darling?
When you did the presentation before, you told the story beautifully about how he would go and get a cigarette and open his shirt and he had the necklace. That part's great. But then you said to me, and so now if I show it to you this way, you don't have to say that, just say, and this is the necklace, and he gave
the
it
bracelet.
to me, and the bracelet, and
That he gave it to me just before he died.
Okay. Okay, let's do it again.
Also.
Now tell me one more time.
Do you remember when Sammy would be on?
Okay, I got it. All right, darling.
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
Do you remember when Sammy would be on the stage and he would kind of relax and he'd go over and get a cigarette? Then he would open up his shirt. He would have this necklace on with all the diamonds around his neck. Well, just before he died, he gave it to me. And here it is. Isn't it gorgeous? But I'm afraid to wear it because I don't want nobody to take it. How is that?
That was great. That was great. We had a little truck
bang
rumbling.
truck
Yeah.
outside.
Huh?
Let's try it again.
Can we
had
do
a
it
little-
one more
time?
Yeah, it was. We got a bad truck, just in the middle of.
You got a bad one?
Noise.
bad
There was a
truck.
rumble outside. Okay.
The same way, just as you did it. It'd be great.
Okay. Do you remember when Sammy would be on the stage and he would walk over and get a cigarette and light it and open up his shirt? You would see a necklace around on him that had diamonds on it. And it also has a bracelet. Well, just before Sammy died, he gave it to me. And here it is. Isn't it gorgeous? How is that, darling?
That's fine. That's fine. We can definitely use one of those.
Okay, tell
Or
me a
grand.
little bit though. Remember you said that you put it very beautifully to me once. You said that he knew that you would want it. You said that he was probably thinking about you.
No, I don't remember saying that. But anyway, we were talking about. You said evidently he loved you. You and I in a conversation. You said evidently he loved you. I said I think he did too. I said then there's retribution. We use that word.
Right.
And he figured that this is the way we were talking this way now. This wasn't for this.
Right.
But that's the way it.
With these on.
Oh, well, I
There
don't know.
must be a lot of pictures of him
Oh, it
wearing
is.
this, right? Here we go. Handing it back to you. He had a very small wrist.
Well, I can get this on this one. On this hand, I can get it. But on this one, this is a bad hand, you know.
Uh-huh.
Well, we got to show this again.
One
You
more
don't
time.
want to see this no more.
Just one more time. It's,
Huh?
I think it's a very beautiful connection between you and him. That I think because it's so identified with him. You know, I mean, just remember seeing him with it all the time. So let's just try it one more time. Are we hearing buses?
Of course. If you hear buses, I hear buses.
Just wait 1 second till they go.
Still rolling.
Yeah.
Buses, 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 buses. And it's quiet.
One more time. Go.
I know that if you ever went to a club and saw Sammy, he would relax and walk over and get a cigarette and open up his shirt. On his neck, he would have this. I don't know.
That was
Take your
beautiful.
time. It's
Take
okay.
your
The noise
time.
outside. It's.
Huh?
That was beautiful.
That was
just
fine.
take
Take
that
your
was
time
nice because
because-
you were just taking your time with it, and that was fine. Go ahead, do it again. That was beautiful. That was the best yet.
That's why they don't want me in no movies. It would be too many takes.
No,
Oh, you know what
kidding.
happens? If you say one piece and then you stop to collect your thoughts, maybe we'll cut to a picture of Sammy on the stage.
And then come
we
back.
And we can take the words you say and put them underneath the footage.
Well, yeah, I know. I see
And,
that.
you know, and we can take that space out, you know, so that it
Exactly.
sounds like you're talking right through without a
Exactly.
break. So
Well, I know that you have gone to different clubs and seen Sammy. But at times when he wanted a cigarette, he would walk over to the piano, light up his cigarette, and open up his shirt. And he would have this diamond around his neck. It also has a bracelet. Well, just before Sammy died, he gave this to me. And I'll keep it forever. How was that?
That's very nice. It's the bracelet and the necklace. Did he wear them all the time?
No, he wore this only. You would see this only when he opened up his shirt.
When he wasn't performing, did he wear it?
No. No, but you see, maybe he wouldn't open up his shirt. Maybe he'd walk on the stage with the shirt open. But you would see this.
Did he? So when he was off stage, he didn't wear all that jewelry.
Oh, no.
That's
No, that's
surprising.
why a lot of it was stolen. or misplaced or something.
You know, it's,
Because he had people that was supposed to look out for him, but I don't know.
you know, they used to kid him so much about wearing the jewelry. I always assumed that he always wore it in everyday life.
Oh, no. How you want to walk around at 2 o'clock in the afternoon with all this crap on? He used to kid about it, well, I mean, like, he would do a joke about being up in Harlem with it. But then he said, and when I got, when they, it was something that he would say, that when they sucked me up, it was on Broadway or on Park Avenue. You know, he would make up like, that it wasn't only the blacks that suck up, you know.
So when he was just being a private person, was he a very plain person? Was he a very simple dresser when he wasn't performing?
Well, darling, you see, I tell you this now. You know, I wasn't around Sammy that much.
But I mean, when you saw
This is not being taped, right,
no,
darling?
No, when you were
I never lived anywhere where Sammy lived. Like, 'cause he lived on the West Coast, I lived here. If he came here, he would be in a hotel. I would go over to the hotel to see him. I'd walk in there, he might have a handkerchief around his head. Or with no, you know, he was down to earth. But I mean, for him to be out in the street with me, I wasn't out there that much. I was either getting in a cab or getting out the cab or whatever.
right, because you know, entertainers have strange habits. Like Jerry Lewis is always dressed in these same colors and shirts
Side
all the
divorce.
time.
Everything side divorce.
Everything's side divorce. Even when he's not performing, he's always. And I always assumed. I
Yeah,
don't
but
know
did
why,
you but did you
Sammy
ever
was
go
always
up in the
dressed up.
hotel room with him?
Oh yeah, he's always all done up.
Well, I mean, you mean in the beginning and for breakfast he's got that crap? Well, and well, my son wasn't like that. Because you could walk in, he would have his robe on, coming out one bedroom or going into another, whatever, when he was in the hotel, you know what I mean? Or even when I was at the house, when I was used to stay at the house, he would be like that when he was there, you know.
Which was rarely. Getting back to Sammy for a second in terms of girls, was Sammy's taste in women generally like my quiet, not flashy women, or was he equally interested in very kind of aggressive, like?
Well,
flashy?
I don't know, darling. I'll say this: if he was having a party, you know, I don't mean I mean a party like with me there or his wife or everybody there. The showgirls would come in. But now what happened after that, I don't know. But I have never seen him around anybody as nice and as quiet as mine. You know.
Did Sammy ever say to you that he wished that he had gone to school? Did he ever feel that?
Well, I don't know how he would feel now because, you know, but listening to him, I think that he would have loved to have gone to school. But I don't think he would have been any smarter than he was before he died, if he had gone to school. Because I see a lot of college fellas and girls that can't touch Sammy when it comes to different things.
Do you think that it was that he felt it more acutely when he was like going to the White House, or do you think it was just for himself that he wished that he might have gone to school?
I don't know, darling. I wouldn't know how he, you know, like he wouldn't come out and say to me, I wished I had gone to school. You know, maybe if, like I told you the other day, like I tried to wait until he got 21 years old for him to come to me, or I could go to him and say, You heard your father's part, but now listen to mine. But I never did that because during that time is when he started having so much on his shoulders. I mean, there was people over here wanting him. There was people over there wanting him. But I mean, at that time, I wouldn't bother him. But I waited too late. Because when I was thinking about going out there to sit when he got sick, who was going to bother him when he got sick? I wouldn't. You know.
Did he try to downplay when he got sick? Did he downplay it?
No, from what I can understand, he was in California when he got sick, and I was out here. I was in New York. But from what I can understand, from hearsay, that when he really got real bad off, he didn't want nobody to see him. You know, because he was only sick 8 months. Real sick, I mean.
Let me ask you another question. We talked a lot yesterday about bias and prejudice and so forth. You knew Sammy when he was in New York, when he was in Golden Boy, when he was in Mr. Wonderful. He was here in New York, so you saw him probably more at that time. You told me the story yesterday about him going to the Copa and people making remarks about Mai and everything. Did he ever talk to you about the fact that he was angry that he had worked so hard for Kennedy and that Kennedy had...
No, he never.
He
never brought it up. And I never brought it up because I felt more for Sammy than anybody did because I knew that Sammy had so many people on him. Now, why would I bring up something that hurt his feelings again?
But, you know, a lot of guys whine about things and go, you know, for instance, I know from people that I've spoken to about Sinatra, that Sinatra used to go back over things that guys did to him in the 40s. He was always whining. Oh, well, remember this guy, and always
Jerry.
Remembering. Jerry Lewis. He'll tell you all the people, they did this to him, they did that to him. Sammy had a lot of reasons.
Well, you see, if that could have happened to you talking to Sammy, you could get this. But you see, I don't know how this boy felt. You know what I mean? Because there's some things that he would say to you, and I would be here with you, but he wouldn't say it to me. You understand what I don't mean?
He never said it publicly either, because these people are also quoted, and I never remember seeing Sammy quoted complaining about anything.
Well, I don't know. I don't know how many tapes you got of him, but I know I've seen him on tapes. I don't know where they are. Because anytime I read anything about Sammy doing something with, like we're doing, I would call those people up and ask them to send me the tape. But I know there's a lot of things that when Sammy talk, I don't know who I'm talking about, what person I'm talking about. But I know Sammy has did a lot of, you know, one-on-one with people.
That's interesting. Did Sammy ever talk about Martin Luther King?
Oh my goodness! He went to the march, and then one time when I first met Martin Luther King, we were at what is that place on 57th Street? Carnegie Hall. Frank, the Rat Pack was there. And Martin Luther King, and Sammy did something for him, for money, you know, getting money for him. And that's when I first met Martin Luther King. And this was another darling man that when I was in his presence, I felt like holy, like being in a Catholic church. I really did. Because that's the awe, whatever it is that he's got, that Martin Luther King had, you know.
And the Rat Pack played that in Carnegie?
Oh, they were all there.
I didn't
Oh,
remember
yes,
that.
they were
I
there
never
at
knew
Carnegie
that.
Hall quite a while ago.
I gotta get pictures of that.
61, 3 years before Selma.
Well, he knows.
Yeah.
Interesting.
When nobody knew who he was.
Huh?
When nobody knew who Martin Luther King was. I mean, he wasn't the, well, he's
No.
done the bus boycott.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
But it hadn't been yet the March on Washington.
What year did you say that was?
61. I couldn't believe it. Shirley MacLaine wrote about it in her book, that they were...
Well, I know it was quite a while. It was quite a while. Because and then he went on the march with them, and the fella, there was a gentleman that, he was like, to me, you're not putting this on nothing.
No, I'm just...
No.
Okay. To me, he was like a hoodlum, this man. But he was a nice person that when they went on the march, he was right there by Sammy, taking care of Sammy, because Sammy, it was like Mutt and Jeff.
Did Sammy have bodyguards?
Well, I mean, he didn't have that many. He had one fella, you know. I don't know where did I hear he was. The last one that he had, I think, is working for Quincy Jones. I think.
Right.
And his drummer, the little fella, he's working for Tony Bennett.
Did you ever meet Count Basie with Sammy when he was recording with Count Basie?
Baby, I met Count Basie before Count Basie was Count Basie. I met when I don't know where he came from, because he's from Jersey, but he was with a band that was like, I don't know whether it was it was in Georgia. It was one of those towns that little bands come from, and they came into Philadelphia where I was working. I was like in a chorus, and we would do a show today, and tonight we would rehearse for the next show. And Count Basie was in there. I knew Count Basie very well before he got to be a star.
Sammy did some of his best recordings with Count Basie.
Well, that's when Basie got to be Basie.
Did you like that work that he did with Basie?
Oh, I liked anything that Sammy did. Really. I was very prejudiced as far as my child was concerned.
Did Sammy ever take any lessons from anybody that you know of? Did Sammy ever take lessons from anybody?
Nobody. Nobody. I got people, I think I told you the other day we were talking. I was on a, what was that thing I told you I was on, getting money for somebody?
Telethon?
Telethon, and I walked off the thing and went around the corner, and there was a little boy there saying, oh, you know, I knew him. I went to school with him. Sammy never went to school a day in his life. But then he got many doctorate degrees. You know that.
I didn't know that.
Oh, you didn't know that a lot of schools gave him, he was Dr. Davis? Well, you better get all of this from Shirley. Yeah. Did you know that, darling?
Yeah, I think so. I think Yale University gave him a Doctor of Arts.
Somewhere out, you know, in the southern schools or something.
Oh, yeah, I bet them too, but he has like a dozen of them, right?
Huh?
He's got like a dozen. A dozen
Quite a
honorary
few, darling,
degrees, yeah.
quite a few. And that's how I always say, if your name is something, because here's a person never went to school a day in his life, and they giving him a doctorate degree. Why? Because he's Sammy Davis Jr.
Well, you said it
Oh, he
very.
wrote the book.
You said it very well the other day that like it was his talent that got him everywhere. His talent got him to the Queen. His talent got him in the White House. Right? I mean, there's a thing in his book where he talks about in his first book about you coming to the theater and him, you know, like he was performing. And he was telling you how he could dance and so forth. He says that in his book. I don't remember how old he's supposed to be, but he's little. He's like 5 or 6. And I think it's probably almost the same, around the same time that you said that Will said, "This is your mother," and he said, "I have a mother."
Well, this was in Philadelphia, but he wasn't working. But I have been in, I have been somewhere with him where he was working, and I got on the stage and did a time step with him. But that was, I don't know how long ago, you know.
Really?
But I mean, it wasn't a big thing. It wasn't no pictures taken or nothing like that.
Was he a little kid then?
Well, he was, when, you know how big he was when he did with Ethel Waters?
Yeah, that big.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot that's been written that said that any time he ever saw anybody do something, he could copy it completely. He could mimic any act.
Oh, yeah, well, I told you that. I told you that yesterday about Buck and Bubbles. When I was, I think it must have been Boston or Canada. I was up there with Buck and Bubbles, and he had been there, and he was in a little club. And when we got through doing our show, we were invited to this club. And when Buck saw Sammy when Bubbles saw Sammy get up on the stage and do his routine, my God, he came back to me the next day and said, "I don't mind him being here, but keep him out the wings."
Yeah, because if he saw it, he could do it, right?
Oh, well, he did copy that. I mean, he got it, baby. He got it.
Hey, how about the...
Born by probably certainly one of the most famous entertainers of the 20th century, up there with Chaplin and everyone else. It's got a great history. Do you know what I'm saying? That's what makes it so important. Not that it's a pretty necklace, but it was his. I'll give it to you when we're finished.
Oh, don't.
Okay.
I'll get it, darling.
Okay. So, all right. So what are we doing now? Oh,
I think
we're gonna
we're
talk
down to
about-
2 minutes on the camera.
we're gonna
Let me